It's true. We are. Hi, everybody. We're live. We're just messing around behind the scenes as the show gets started. Hello. Good to see you. A bit of a do. And, yep, and we can hear Johnny, all right? Everybody can hear him? You good? I'm not muted. Okay, good. I see audio going out. What is happening? Oh, he doesn't. I see. Hold on one second. Let me make sure that these are set properly. Come on, input, ba-da-doo-doo-doo, mega doom-be-doo-doo. Yeah, I don't want to monitor on that one. And then the Mac Pro 1, which is you're on the NDI, monitor and output. Everybody should be seeing and hearing you. Everybody, no Johnny? Really? Thank you. I said this is very strange. How about this? Keep talking. I agree. I a load of what? A load of what? Okay, Mac Pro. Okay, this should do it.
What if I talk like Bane the whole time?
That would be a mistake. I'm just saying, in general.
Wait, laughing into cupped hands is really loud in your own ears. It's a little, from me to you, life hack. Don't laugh into cupped hands.
No, it'd be terrible. Still Johnny, there he is. Now you hear him.
Yay! Alright, I'll do the Bane one more time. Nobody paid attention until I put on the mask.
No, they think it's because of they think the audio's messed up because they're like, he sounds like he's underwater. It's like, it's because you make him fake. Use your real microphone, you maniac. He's a maniac. He's garbled and can't hear him.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
I think it's one of those situations where everything, in theory, should be working, and yet possibly it isn't. We'll find out. The audio setup. Hopefully, we will get this rounded out. But Johnny Million is with us today. Good morning, and how are you? And how you doing, buddy? And what's going on? And super fun. So, needless to say, I don't know. Like audio wise, sounds all right coming your way, Johnny. Is it true? Can you hear me okay? Sounds all right? Okay, good. All right. Well, that's, I don't know quite why the audio on this end would be weird going my way, but that's not, you're not helping. You're not helping the... I don't need any of that. You sound like a mess. The whole world's a mess. It's driving me crazy. I'm fixing it as best I can. Now, so I know you, Johnny Million, have been keeping up on the Arizona audit. You know,
actually, strangely enough, I've been in tune with a lot of the Arizona audit updates.
Why is that? Are you suddenly have you turned anti-vaxxer on us and you have now you're using?
No, I follow this great account called Legal Dad, and he's just like this really chill dude who lives in Nevada, and and people just want to feed him conspiracy theories about the Arizona audit, like 200,000 unverified fraudulent votes. Just wait, it's coming. And so he'll address everything like a project manager, you know. And we're like, all right, let's see here, and he'll just like take it apart like your best friend's dad, you know.
Right.
And we're like, and if you come with insults, I'm just gonna block you then.
Sure.
But they keep throwing this stuff at him, and he's like, okay, well let's go look this up.
Yeah.
And pretty much it's a whole bunch of.
It all just collapses. Horribly.
Yeah, it collapses over and over again, and their claims get bigger and more dramatic.
Right. And I can't, I think a lot of folks, as they've been watching this, have been, curious all along that, and I'll solve the audio as we're going along, chat room. I apologize if you're hearing garbly audio from Johnny. I'm fixing it on the fly while we speak. But when it comes to the the world of this particular, like, I almost felt like it was over in June, right?
Yeah, there was something with like the Arizona Senate where they said like no matter what you say, it's not going to change anything. Like there's some ruling, right?
Yes, and there, we've been dealing with the fact that in terms of the audit materials, the ballots, and all that kind of stuff they've been taking, because they've been so slapdash about the whole thing. There's nothing in this where you're like they're going to be able to bring back their stuff. They're they're going to return the ballots and they're going to be useful at all. Like, no one trusts these idiots, and there is no reason why they would. It's odd to me.
Nothing they've done will be like reliable and repeatable.
Right, this is true. So much, by the way, of what we've seen from these lovely folks is based on the idea that they don't want you to end up trusting the elections. They have to. They must make this in a way. And by the way, I'm going to try and change the scene that we're on to hopefully solve some of our sonic issues. Perhaps, just possibly. Hopefully that will do it, and it will not be a factor of something else. But anyways,
I was diagnosed with sonic issues a few weeks ago.
I know that. Yeah, it's true. It's an atmospheric thing because you're so tall. This is, for a lot of us, as we've been watching, the biggest concern is that you can't trust the machines anymore, was when they return them. What are you going to, like, how do we know they didn't deal with the, mess around, put malware in the machines themselves?
Sure.
Apparently we're at a point where, yeah, exactly. And Mike Lindell, of course, is convinced that after his upcoming cyber symposium, see what I did there? That after that, they, even the first night, that's the interesting thing, it's the 13th through the 15th, I think, is when his thing's going. It's 3 days. He's going to do a 72-hour live stream of the whole thing.
Isn't that when Trump's supposed to be reinstated? The 13th?
Yeah, the 13th. After the 13th, the Supreme Court is going to see it, because they all watched live streams on Frank, and after they watch it, they're going to go, I give up. It's so true. I'm just going to reinstate Trump through a magic of the Supreme Court. Or order a new election via the Supreme Court 9-0, where we'll use nothing but paper ballots. And then, when Trump loses a second time, because they do a paper ballot election, and everybody's like, oh yeah, no way, dude. And a bunch of the only people that show up to vote for him are the same people who are the free repeaters at his rallies, trying to vote 3 times. It's going to be miraculous. So, again, I thought this was over. I thought, like, they'd finished the audit part of it, right? We had heard this. The recount part of it was done. They were done looking for panda poop in the in the particles of the paper.
From China.
Yeah, well, where else? I mean, what the Cincinnati Zoo? You don't think?
Yeah.
Look, there's a slight possibility that panda poo from the Cincinnati Zoo floated. This is the 3rd rhyming sentence I've had in a row. Don't you know? It floated from the Cincinnati Zoo through the air and into the Ohio ballot process.
What are you going to do?
Well, what am I going to do? What are you going to do? So the Arizona Republicans' review of 2020 elections, this is from Yahoo News, got off to a rocky start when the contractors broke rules for counting ballots, and election experts warned that the work was dangerous for democracy. When the auditors stopped counting the return ballots this week, see, I did think it was done. It hadn't gotten any better. In the last week alone, the only audit leader with substantial election experience was locked out of the building. He went on radio to say he was quitting, and then he reversed course hours later. The review's Twitter accounts were suspended for breaking the rules. A conservative Republican senator withdrew her support, calling the process, quote, botched, and the lead auditor confirmed what was long suspect, that his work was almost entirely paid for by supporters of Donald Trump who were active in the former president's movements to spread false narratives. All of this came nearly 100 days into a process that was supposed to take about 60 days, according to the Senate Republicans who launched it. And it's not over yet. Contractors are now producing a report on the findings that could take weeks or more to write. It'll be done 2 weeks after Trump's health care plan comes out. The turmoil casts even more doubt on the conclusions of what backers describe as a, quote, forensic audit, but what experts say and critics say is a deeply flawed partisan process, or a pile of road apples, I think is my preferred phrase for this. Not even a shred of being salvaged at this point, said Senator Paul Boyer, the first Republican state senator to publicly come out against the audit in May. They botched it so many points along the way, it's irrecoverable. Boyer's opposition became less lonely last week when another Republican, Senator Michelle Ugenti-Rita, one of the legislature's strongest advocates for stricter voting laws, agreed that the Trump audit was botched, along with all 14 Democrats. A majority of the Senate, which has commissioned the audit, is now against it. I wanted to review our election processes and see what, if anything, could be improved, Ugenti-Rita wrote on Twitter. Sadly, it's now become clear that the audit has been botched. The review includes a hand count of ballots, the analysis of voter data, and a review of ballot counting machines. It's being led by Cyber Ninjas, a software security consultant with, by the way, I don't know why that's not in quotes, with no election experience before Trump began trying to overturn the 2020 results, which we will get to in a moment. The DOJ bombshell, the Oversight Committee releasing
things from
notes.
The DOJ. Feel free to speak freely, DOJ.
Yeah, exactly. Wake us all up to what you've got. Show us your files. It's going to be fun. Its owner, Doug Logan, has supported the movement to spread false conspiracies about the vote count in battleground states. On Wednesday night, Logan ended months of silence about who was paying him when he said a whopping $5.7 million of the $9 million, by the way, that's in there, has been contributed by political groups run by prominent Trump supporters, including Michael Flynn, Sidney Powell, Patrick Byrne, and correspondents from One America News Network. OAN is dumping a ton of stuff, basically to give them something to talk about. You know, it's like it's like if you found out that Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity were paying for Molotov cocktails for last year's unrest, so that they could have something to freak out about, right? The figure dwarfs the $150,000 paid for by the Senate. Logan has said he's approaching the review objectively, and his own views are irrelevant. Still, Logan appeared in, quote, The Deep Rig, a conspiratorial film claiming the election was stolen from Trump. The filmmakers were given access to restricted areas of the ballot counting operation, including the secure area where ballots were stored, where no one's supposed to go. The review's integrity took another hit when former Secretary of State Ken Bennett, a Republican whose experience in elections lent credibility to the operation, found himself locked out of the building where the audit was underway because he'd given outside election experts data without authorization. Authorization, by the way, from Cyber Ninjas, not from the Senate itself. Bennett told a conservative talk radio host that he was quitting because he was expected to rubber stamp the findings. Later the same day, he said he's not quitting after all. Senate President Karen Fann, a Republican, agreed Bennett, quote, will have full access to all audit workspaces, procedures, and data after they, locked him out. What happened during the time that they locked you out, Ken? Ken, during the time you couldn't get in, what happened? What went on? We got to take a break. We're way over the break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the Oversight Committee's release of documents, notes from the DOJ that many of you may have seen or heard about, but they're gorgeous. And they point to the fact that leading up to the 6th Donald Trump had a plan the whole time. We'll be back. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT820.com, and of course 773-763-9278 if you want to call from Arizona and explain how a dry heat helps you find panda fibers. We'll be back. Okay. There we go. And then I will move this around. And then Johnny's in a window. And then, that's what was off. My little side lights. I had to figure out a way, because of the new setup, let's see, find a way to, I should go in here. Get video and audio into the computer, because I'm using a wholly different computer to broadcast now. So normally when I do my regular show, it's just about bringing video over. But now I've got to bring video over and audio back to you in Chicago. So that was a layer of difficulty this morning. Trying to work through the best case for that. Do you know that Melissa Caroni is running for Congress in Michigan?
I don't know who she is.
Do you even know? You don't even know.
God.
You don't even know. You don't even know who she is. You don't know.
Oh, wow.
How you know? I'm running. Okay. I'm running in the night. Yeah. Good times. There we go. Okay, now the cutout's a little better. Hi, everybody. Sorry. All my little finagling around, having to rebuild the system sort of from scratch. Hi, and thank you, Tom, for the bits. And thanks, everybody, and welcome. And yay, and audio's better, and all that kind of stuff. It was just garbly and weird, and it's such a strange effect. And, by the way, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, by 2 days. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Johnny Million. Happy late birthday from everybody at the show to you.
Aww, thank
I told
you.
everybody yesterday we were going to kind of chat room sing happy birthday, so hopefully you can see
Yay.
sending you
Thank
some
you,
loves.
everyone. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Best drunk impersonation from a non-drinker ever. Thanks, Moms.
She is a nightmare.
I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Okay. So what? All right. Yeah.
Attention, stop what you're doing. Because we're coming back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Oh my God!
They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
There's a lot of solutions coming up to our election woes. Mike Lindell has one.
So maybe does the Supreme Court say, hey, let's do another election with what we just showed you, Brandon, without machines? Maybe that's a thing. So maybe
maybe that's a thing. Yeah, maybe it is. It's not, but maybe it's a thing. Maybe. So the one of the best things about Trump not being in office is watching Newsmax and OAN and all these groups try to come up with something to talk about, especially as things improve in areas where the Biden administration is having any impact whatsoever. Namely, the infrastructure bill moving forward today, with even Mitch McConnell signing on to move the vote forward. 17 Republicans joined this week in moving the infrastructure bill forward. That is effectively meaning that there are at least 10, if not 11, Republicans that are going to vote for the final package. Even if it's not Mitch McConnell, there were plenty beyond plenty that moved it forward. Just a fascinating week. Trump's Texas choice for state senate lost.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, which just says to me, and I think everybody else, that the idea that Trump has this iron grip on the GOP and that they are special that he's the kingmaker, has jumped the chart, and we can trust that that fate is going to continue. And one of the things that's helping is
batting. It was 50-50 even while he was president. If he endorsed you, that was not a guarantee. Because that would scare away most traditional Republicans.
Sure, and the trick afterwards, of course, was that he decided after he left office that he was only going to pick people that he was assured by the RNC or any of his insiders were a shoo-in. He was he was only going to had to be they had to
I love
so he was exactly. He was going to get a list of for real the only one he's only going to endorse people if they absolutely are going to run away with it so he can pat himself on the back for picking winners when everyone else is telling him who's going to win. Basically, he's doing a version of The Political Apprentice, wherein on the Celebrity Apprentice and on The Apprentice, the producers pick who wins and loses, who stays on the shows and who goes, based on who's entertaining, not who has value. And he reads the script and says you're fired when the producers decide who goes, right? The same thing was true of the RNC, the Heritage Foundation, anybody else he's taking his cues from. And to some degree, Mark Meadows and the others who are coming in there going, yeah, boss, totally. This is who you're going to say this person, yeah, boss, this is who's going to make it, this is who's not going to make it. And he's taking his cues from these folks and losing horribly. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. Now, and it shouldn't be a surprise.
Do you think that these people really are shoo-ins, and then when he actually, jacks it up by throwing his hat in the ring?
I think you're actually onto something, Johnny Million. I think there's absolutely that's the case. That as far as, it's not like they're wrong, it's just he's getting stank all over their choices. Like they may be correct.
Were gonna win.
This person may have been a shoo-in until Trump gave them an endorsement, and then he effed up a free lunch, which he is wont to do.
Obama.
Yeah, right. It is Obama's fault. Or, somebody in Kenya. We don't know who. It's probably a lizard who landed his spaceship in Kenya and has been wearing the skin of a poor, unfortunate Kenyan posing as Barack Obama under a birth certificate that was actually written in Grover's Mill, New Jersey on Halloween 1943. John Big Booty, you're the weakest person I ever know. Listen, there's a Buckaroo Banzai reference for anybody who dares have one. But the Oversight Committee released this week notes from the DOJ that had these, and I think the biggest quote everybody's hearing is, the notes from it say, they're going, the DOJ say, look, we can't just snap our fingers and change the outcome of an election. We can't do it. And Trump's response is, I don't expect you to do that. Just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me.
Leave the rest to me.
And the Republican congressman. One of the things that's kind of left off that when they've been talking about it in the news is that and the R congressman, which makes it way more important as we listen to who sided with him, Jim Jordan and the like, and especially in the lead up to January 6th, who was helping him sort of foment the big lie and push this big attack on the 6th. But just say it was corrupt and leave the rest to me. Now look, we all have problems with the fact that everything seems to be a reboot. You can't have, why can't we have new stuff? Hats off to the John Wick and Taken people for making new, out-of-the-box franchises, fresh-baked franchises out of nothing. And even to the Marvel folks for taking stuff that were, finally doing an Iron Man movie or something like that, which had never been done before. At least in the last couple of decades, we've seen some new stuff. But dang it if we don't see a lot of rebooting of stuff. And it was a trend for a while that was just getting brutal. And the same thing is true for Donald Trump. Everything's a reboot. Right now, he's doing his own version of The Apprentice, just a political version, and he's not making the decisions, and he's and the ratings are going down. Remember at the end of The Celebrity Apprentice, one of the reasons he ran for president was because the ratings were collapsing. It was going down. The show was going to go off the air. He had heard that, you know, the Rick Santorums of the world were selling books because they would run for president. They had no chance of getting there, but it helped them. It was a great PR move. So they hired a bunch of extras and set up this photo op, and he came down the escalator and said, "I'm running for president," in an effort to renegotiate his contract with with NBC and get the Apprentice to have a boost. And then, lo and behold, Mark Burnett, after going to Russia and trying to do a special a series about Vladimir Putin, comes back with marching orders to do a show about Donald Trump. And then, and then what was the thing that put him over the top in the election? Because there was a very strong chance he was going to lose. And then Jim Comey comes out and says there may be something to this whole Hillary Clinton server email issue, right? And what did he seek from Ukraine? A repeat of that moment. Look, just start the investigation. Say an investigation is going on into Biden corruption, and then, that's all you have to do. Just do a photo op. Just go out and say this is a presser, and we'll run with it. That's all we'll need. And he's doing the same thing. This is a triple reboot, an attempt to try and create this same thing again. We got to take a break. We'll be back again after this break. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Thanks, BK. Yeah, I mean, this is the third time. That's the same thing. Like, you know what Comey did with the server thing? Where he just came out and said it. Now, 2 years later, it turned out to be complete crap. Nothing came of it. Even Bill Barr couldn't find anything. Nothing would exclude Hillary Clinton from being a great president based on her experience and all that. Like, nothing. But that one little thing timed perfectly to offset, the WikiLeaks and Comey combo. All I need is just the whiff of scandal, and I'll just dodge around the side while everybody's looking at her. I'll sneak into the charity ball without having actually given any money to the charity while you make noise at the front door. That's what it is. And he did it again with Ukraine, and he tried to do it again after the election. Like, he's a one-trick pony. Wait for the reboot with Hal, Tony Stark. Thanks. It could happen. It could happen. He'll be a little wackier than he was last time, but more crying scenes. So yeah, the fact that this Joyce Oline, the fact that the DOJ turned these notes over the House Oversight Committee, the type of internal product they typically fight to protect, suggests that they believe this is very serious, potentially even criminal conduct. Yeah, just amazing. And then let me grab this, because I know I have, where's the Oversight Committee's thing? Oh shit, I got stuck in here. Oh boy. Yeah, Carolyn Maloney is not going to let this go. Which is great. Oh, and this, yeah. This is kind of beautiful, too. It's tax time for Donald Trump. It's tax time. Yep. Silly hump is gonna be a problem for him. Thank you, Carlene. for the super sticker. Appreciate it. Do I have my... There,
20.
Turn off. Thank you. I think I did. Yeah, when I was worried about what was causing sound issues,
Can you overcorrect?
Yeah, no, I took away the alert box, so I didn't have But now...
I know I'm only on one day. I get it. I'm going to have to jump on and start sawing something together. This is the Hal Sparks Show. Wow. Guitar note, and then with progressive and all. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Hey, Hal, did you mean something like this?
This is the Hal Sparks Show. Wow. And the guitar note, and then with progressive and all. Yeah, it's going to be good.
The Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
It is going to be good. It's going to be great. You know what's going to be really good? Okay. Can we... All right. We've had a couple of times when Donald Trump has had a very bad no-good week. And even just like the things we mentioned already, the fact that 17 Republicans sided with Democrats to allow the infrastructure bill to proceed, which is just normal governing. Like, that's so basic. This is going to be a $1.1, $1.2 trillion, depending on loan guarantees, by the way, which, again, when you loan this money into existence, it's actually more so because they're seeding equity in this. And part of, infrastructure bank, come on, infrastructure bank, just stay in there, and you'll turn that $1.1 trillion into about $5 trillion over the next 10 years. I'm just saying. Do it. Just remember who told you to leave broadband in and the red states won't be able to say no to it? Remember who said that last year? Remember? All right. It's the same guy who said it was going to be Biden-Harris by 7 million votes with 306, and Trump didn't have a chance and all the election attempts would fail, as would January 6th. Remember that guy? Yeah, same guy told you to leave in broadband and put that as an essential part of new infrastructure spending, and the Republicans would not be able to say no to it. It's going to pass. This bill will pass specifically because of broadband. They honestly, these idiots would allow their bridges to fail. Yeah. They would allow their roads to collapse. They don't care. But the internet is how they get their ads to their people anymore. That's it. You can't send out, post YouTube videos about lizard people drinking, lizard pedivores running the government. You can't post those with crap internet. So even the farthest right are like, well, I don't know. All the QAnon people are like, it would be much easier to post these memes of Hillary Clinton as a lizard with Huma Abedin, hanging upside down as one of the Lost Boys. It would be easier to post this meme in a much larger size if I had fiber optic out here in Podunk, in Pork Knuckle, Wisconsin. So that alone will further this. And because it's so basic, it's just infrastructure. Come on, people. Like even the Republicans who, I think their idea of good governance is said with a German accent, getting the trains to run on time, right?
Yeah.
That's my favorite guy in the whole world, right? That's the guy who got the trains running on the right. So that alone made Trump miserable. He freaked out about it. He sent out multiple, micro blogs, his little statements he does on his website. Just, no, you're being suckered into, this is the straight track to socialism. I can't imagine how he would have reacted to the Hoover Dam. But this is, so, and those two things alone sent him, reeling. Then we find out that the DOJ has released notes to the Oversight Committee of Donald Trump saying that, look, just say it was corrupt, and me and Jim Jordan and Devin Nunes and all these people will say it was thrown, and we'll get all the Republican senators we have compromise on to sign on to their election objections. And then that should give us enough time for my supporters to walk down peacefully and patriotically. But if Mike Pence won't reseat the electors, then we attack. That's essentially it. I mean, that's the plan, right? Mm-hmm. And thank God again that Donald Trump, for all the Hitler comparisons to him, is dumb Hitler, because even as bad as Hitler's strategic decisions were, Trump was like, hold my Pervitin. So then those notes get released, and the Justice Department, Biden's Justice Department says that Congress should be allowed to see Trump's taxes. Former President Donald Trump's tax return should be turned over to House Democrats who tried unsuccessfully for years to get the documents, the Justice Department said Friday in a legal analysis, reversing a position taken 2 years ago. The decision marks another significant legal setback for Trump, who has fought a multifaceted campaign to keep his tax record secret from prosecutors, lawmakers, and the public. Trump was the first president in decades to refuse to share his tax returns as a candidate or while in office. By the way, you can look at Biden's tax returns. They're public. They are. They're public. Go look. Earlier this year, Trump's tax returns were turned over to the Manhattan District Attorney after a separate legal fight in which the Supreme Court declined to intervene. The prosecutor's office has been examining Trump's finances as part of a criminal probe of his businesses and has indicted Trump's longtime financial officer, Alan Weisselberg, on tax charges. Weisselberg has denied the charges. While he was president, Trump successfully beat back efforts by the House Ways and Means Committee to see his tax returns, including a battle in federal court. But the new opinion from the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel and the committee's request to see the records as part of its oversight of the Internal Revenue Service's presidential audit program is valid and should be fulfilled. Oh, my Lord. One of just from bad to worse. Can you imagine? I'm just saying Trump's golf game is going to be mildly off this week. It's just...
Like, how can he sleep like this? I guess with the help of prescription drugs.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think he does, right? I mean, the story has always been that he sleeps 4 hours a night, which is insane and completely unhealthy, and I mean, you'd have to be gacked out of your mind. I mean, that sounds like Pervitin or something. It sounds like a disorder for, and with that level of sleep deprivation, you can't make reasonable decisions. It's hard to, when you're skipping sleep a few days in a row, it starts to affect your job performance. But if you're living like that for years, and if it's chemically induced, you're a stroke waiting to happen. If it's not chemically induced, you have a hormonal imbalance of some sort or an adrenal problem, and that's going to come crashing down at some point. Like, we are this close to Trump calling Michael Jackson's doctor. And you know what I mean? Going, I've heard a lot of good things about anesthetic. They anesthese you, and you can take a nap. That's where that is. It is not healthy. Anita Blake in our chat room saying Trump's golf game is always off because he cheats. Yes, but that's his way of keeping it on. Happy birthday, Ruby Redhead. It is also, by the way, to everybody listening, Johnny Million's birthday was 2 days ago, so we're all wishing Johnny a happy belated birthday on the show today, in whatever form you would like that to take. We love you, Johnny, and we wish you many, many more. Johnny and I are the same age, but for a couple of months. So you'll have to let me know how this one feels. I will be turning 52 September 25th. And I will be in Washington,
D.C. Come on in, the water's fine.
I'm excited about it. It's nice to have my age finally catching up to my intellect, Yeah. Where, when you're as smart as I am and you're 22, no one listens. You're like Cassandra. When you're 52, they're like, all right, he's been around. He's been through it a little bit. He's saying the same stuff he was saying then, but at least, it obviously must have paid off. You know what I mean? It's like dietary advice. Never take, dietary or workout advice from a 21-year-old fitness model who's in great shape and goes, I can eat anything I want on this. It's awesome. And then you see them when they're 65 and they have a bloated gut and back knee and their teeth have fallen out. And like, I don't know what went wrong. It was all going so well. Like, dude, it's called being 22. None of what you were doing was working. It's just nothing could have, turned the other way. And I think, that's what Trump has always floated on the idea of genetics, that like his genes have always protected him, right? Which is hilarious. Boy. I can't imagine what it's like to be in Trump's circle right now. Now, we just found out, of course, that Mark Meadows went and visited with him and called it a cabinet meeting, which is, everybody's taking as a sign of, that they're planning an insurrection and that he's playing into the whole lie that Trump is still president and that he's going to be reinstated.
They called a meeting with Trump a cabinet meeting?
Yes. Right.
Holy.
Now, granted, there is a possibility that Melania makes them meet in cabinets. That whenever she comes in,
sure, yeah.
Whenever she comes into the kitchen, like that ever happens. But work with me, Donnie. That she
does she even live in the same general vicinity?
No, rumor has it she's in Maryland.
Oh.
The idea is that she and Barron live in Maryland at her parents' house, and he goes to a special school there outside of D.C.
Okay.
But again, let's not forget, she's a birther, and her whole Christmas remarks, don't exactly make her an innocent bystander and all this stuff.
Yeah,
especially when she started I'm a big believer in wives and families are off limits and until they're adults that campaign for the parent, then or the mate, then the reason I say that with mate as well is because let's just say Matt Gaetz decides to run for president in 2024 as a way to keep himself out of prison. Let's say this is dragging on, and he does this as kind of a high-profile thing. There is a chance that he might be engaged or married to a minor at that point, or attempt to do that. I don't know what the laws are in Florida, but they're pretty lax, I think. We're going to take a break. 773-763-9278 is our number. We'll be back right after this. Oh, the whole thing. The amount of panic going on over there. And by the way, the fact that they've released Trump's taxes, Johnny, was such a great point that you had made, but I think there's an inclusion on top of that is one of the reasons Mitch McConnell got on board is because of the release of the taxes. You know what I mean? Yes, Trump is not only maybe caverning some of these Republicans that are running, they are shoe-ins. That's a great way of putting it. And then he ruins it. He messed it up. Which is fabulous. I'm fascinated by the whole concept. But there's also a possibility in terms of the House and Senate Republicans now being aware of the movings in the DOJ. They know people at the DOJ, during Trump or whatever. There's still people that are there from Trump that were pro-Trump. And the word may have been coming down that, they're going to let his taxes get released to Ways and Means. And that's going to unleash the whole thing. Now it's all going to get put out. People are going to know. And now is the time for the Republicans to start jumping ship. Right?
Sure.
Because holy hell, they're going to see he's a fake billionaire, that none of this is true, that he's, in...
It's crazy that it's taken this long.
Sketchy friggin' people for ages. Just insanity. So, hold on, let me go into this live thing right here. And then the thing, where are you? Wake up. YouTube. Yeah, there we go. The scary part is, the Delta spread.
20 seconds.
Thank you. they're gonna use that as a distraction. You know, like they literally, it's an impetus to just let it roll through because we got bigger fish to fry. Taxes aren't important. That's not what matters here. It's just, I mean, it's scary.
This is Damian Perdue of Think Theory Radio, Saturdays at 6 p.m. You're listening to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I thought there was going to be like a new one every break. I was so excited.
You want more, Hal? We'll give you
look
more.
on your face.
Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT, it's 20. Hooyah!
Devin, I can't help but feel that there's a touch of sarcasm in your voice. I don't know that that's a
there is no sarcasm, Hal.
I don't know. I don't know that booyah is heartfelt. I don't know. I'm gonna need to. Close. I'm gonna need. Nice try though. I'm gonna need to attend several, I think, sporting events with you just to see what your real reactions are when you're excited, and then I have something to weigh it against. So that's my plan.
I love you guys.
You and I, it's we're gonna
What's
go.
funny is that I love you guys. That was a drop. He's just got that ready to go.
Yeah, that was about the Mighty House things. That's been sitting there forever or whatever. It's been just sitting in the board. Yeah. As bad as things are for Donald Trump this week, they are worse for Republicans all across the country because the Ted Cruzes of the world and the Greg Abbotts of the world and the Ron DeSantises of the world know that their only solution to the problem they find themselves in right now, which is just a cascade of the Delta variant through all these states, is to choose the path chosen. Oh my gosh, Luis Sayat Jr. Happy birthday to Johnny. Half of that goes to you. That's fantastic. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Johnny. That's Luis. Thank you so much for that super chat. That's so sweet. Look, and Johnny's look at him, genuinely touched. I know Johnny. Unlike Devin, I know Johnny's genuine emotions.
Poor Devin.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you, Josh. If Trump still owes Russian money, could that be why they've been hacking us? That's an interesting question. They've been hacking us. No, they've been hacking us all along. It's just during the Trump years you heard less about it because the DOJ didn't make. There was no pushback. They were basically letting it slide. And when the sysaheads started worrying about it, they started clamoring for dropping him. And then when he turned against the election fraud claims, that's when they jettisoned him. So, the fascinating part of, when Trump, his interview with Woodward came out, he bragged about downplaying the information on the virus. And for a couple of reasons. One, he was trying to get his trade deal through with China, right? Where they were going to buy a lot of stuff. They were going to buy a lot of stuff, guys. $30 billion. Phase one, $30 billion of American goods. By the way, all consumables, not cars, not building materials, electronics, none of that. No, just beef, pork, soybeans, and corn. That's it. Because, as I've told you guys many times, having spent a good deal of time in China leading up, in the 2 years leading up to COVID, having been there, and I am currently in a soul-searching mode about how to express what my real experience was clearly so that people understand that I'm not against the Chinese people, but what I saw while I was there was a clearly manipulative environment. And no surprise. I mean, I literally had a meeting with the propaganda department to film there. They literally, we sat across the table from, and the most scared I've ever felt for a person that I currently wasn't doing CPR on was the translator for the Chinese Communist Party's propaganda minister, who we had the meeting with. Because if she screws up a word, she's in deep. Now, luckily, I don't know how aware they were that I spoke Chinese or how good my Chinese was. So I was able to understand what they were saying. And I could see that she was struggling to try and explain to us what they meant, versus what they were saying.
Yeah.
Anyways, across the country, they culled 700 million pigs in 2018 and 19 because of a disease. There's massive flooding going on in China right now. The Three Gorges Dam, there's rumors that it's already broken through, but it is not in good shape regardless. Other reservoirs they filled to capacity, and they never let the pressure off by releasing some of the water. So now they are breaking and drowning entire villages. It's horrifying. You've seen some of the flooding in Mexico, some of the flooding in Germany, which is catching people off guard, the climate change related stuff. There is 10, if not 20 times that amount of stuff going on in China right now. And because of that, not only are villages and areas being flooded, but so are farms. And so the already difficult food shortages they were facing have been exacerbated by the flooding. It's terrifying. And they need all the food they can buy. And we are one of their biggest sources. And even still, with Donald Trump playing, with Xi saying, oh, they're being totally transparent. They got it under control. It's not a problem. It's not, you have nothing to worry about. I've talked to them. They're handling it very professionally. Professionally was the term, by the way, that Trump constantly used. Instead of public servants, which do it for a salary. Professionals will only do it if there's a bonus involved, I guess, is the idea. So they're handling it, the communists are handling it very professionally, which is amazing if you think about it.
Kind of terrifying.
It's kind of ridiculous. But the reason he was downplaying is that he wanted this trade deal where they were going to buy $30 billion worth of stuff. Well, they didn't. They bought about $13 billion, even with the food shortages they've had. And they bought the biggest orders of beef, corn, soybeans, and pork in our nation's history because they didn't buy them for 4 months because we shut down, trade routes for a while. And then they bought all of it to catch up, right? So Trump was patting himself on the back in July last year because they all of a sudden bought all this food. Right at the time Americans were in food lines, we were allegedly, according to Donald Trump, selling all of our pork, corn, and soybeans and beef, the most amount of it that we've ever sold, to China, who, by his assertion, attacked us with a bioweapon, which in the Chamberlains of Chamberlain in history, there was never a moment where Chamberlain said, why don't we just let, if Hitler wants to take Poland, that's their business. But they're going to be hungry when they get there. So I think England should sell them all of our beef, corn, pork, and soybeans, right? It's ridiculous, right? And Trump was, bragging about this point. We are still, in a situation where they are in desperate need for food, desperately all last year, we're desperate for food, and still only lived up to a third of the trade deal he made with them, which was supposed to have 3 phases. There was never a second and third phase. The first phase itself standardized a little bit of stuff, but we had a $250 billion, a $500 billion trade deficit, half of which is Walmart. $250 billion of it is Walmart. Walmart. The other 250 is spread over drop shipping stuff on Amazon and assembled stuff. It's crazy. In that whole, he was bragging that he was going to make a $30 billion dent in this $500 billion trade deficit, and he still only made 13. Even as much food as they needed, even as desperate as things were. And now it's it's worse. The Chinese people are in desperate shape right now, and the CCP is not doing a lot of. They're not being the solution in any means, and a lot of the problem that they're having is infrastructure. Their infrastructure is breaking down, and you know why their infrastructure is breaking down? Lack of regulations, lack of a proper permitting process, lack of inspectors, all the stuff.
Sounds like a pure libertarian society.
Yep, it's a libertarian paradise. In terms of building over there. You want to put up a building in China right now? You don't even have to finish the plans. You can start building and change the plans on a skyscraper floor by floor as you go. Now, if you want to see what that libertarian paradise looks like right now, go Google during the break. We're about to come up on the news after you listen to our sponsors, of course, and help them out. Go look on YouTube or some other site and at tilting buildings in China. Shaking skyscrapers, ghost cities that are falling apart. That's what libertarian lack of regulations does. Smart regulations are valuable. Just getting rid of them because of expeditious desire to just keep building willy-nilly just to pat yourself on the back that look at that pretty thing. That's what gives you the horrors that you're seeing over there right now. We got to take a break. When we come back, I want to, the infrastructure problems that China is having right now and that the Republicans wish on the United States. Understand that. That's what they want for the United States. Is happening in the medical area right now with the cascade of the Delta variant across the country. News about that when we come back. Right. Squirt is bringing up the Millennium Building in San Francisco, and they're absolutely right. So the Millennium Building has a foundational issue, and it's been tilting for a long time, and they need to take it down. They need to just start disassembling the building, and it's a multi-billion-dollar project, and it's so expensive that it's where the conspiracy theories about the Twin Towers came from, that they were mostly empty and nobody wanted to be in them, and they were too big and scary, and they swayed in the wind and yada yada. So they wanted to take them down and build one building there, but it was too expensive. But blowing them up, it's cheap. A couple of planes smash into them, you pay some terrorists $200,000. That was one of the conspiracy theories about it. Well, the root of it was how expensive it would be to dismantle a building like that without imploding it first, and damaging all the buildings around it. Now, San Francisco has a constantly shifting tectonic plate, and it's a very different situation. A lot of these places where these buildings are having these problems in China, they're not earthquake zones, or at least they weren't. Now they are. So, yeah, the GOP actors saying the GOP are killing their own voters with this vaccine stance. I think they finally realized that's why they changed their tune. That's obviously, it's cascading through red states. That's obviously why it is. But the problem is their activist class that they need to get elected, the ones that show up in primaries, not the actual voters, but the people that they need to get in the position to get voted in the first place, that crowd are all the Melissa Coronis of the world. That's where they are. Could you circle back to Cruz, Abbott, and Sanders in regards to what they're going to do? Yes. We will be doing that about talking about the Delta variant stuff. So, let me bring that up too. Bringing this up. Do you stop the subscribers gifts and new subscribers tally? It seems stuck. Oh, it's automatic. The new subscribers one is, I think, I want to say it's that the new subscribers is YouTube, not across the board. It's kind of it's not the greatest graphic. It's just basically as a little reminder. I'll improve on that eventually. Promise. We almost had a tsunami because of the earthquake in Alaska. Jesus, Lynette.
Wow.
Well, almost is better than having one. See if I can find this graphic. There you go. All right. Let's go. Are those your cicadas?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not too bad. Like, we're not even at the, whatever that crazy anniversary is, 14, 17 years.
Coming on in 20.
Right. Thanks. We're in a...
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Damn puss-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
So, you know, in terms of Trump's kind of issues with border states,
Look.
You've heard a lot. Yes.
Free health care for illegal. Look.
So the big concern was Texas and all these states are going to have to provide free health care for immigrants coming across the border. We're at an all-time high. There's never been this many people, and we're all going to give them free health care and free school and all this kind of stuff. And you now have Democratic members of Congress in border states saying, you know what would be great is if you guys would show the footage of the people being deported. Because, and these are, you know, Hispanic and Latino members of the House and Senate going, because all you're seeing is, you know, from their perspective, all you're seeing is the people who are coming in. All you're seeing is the influx. You're not seeing the number of people who are, you know, are being turned away and why, right? You know, and the reasoning behind it and all that kind of stuff. So it is a, you know, it's fascinating to, you know, to watch, you know, what most people would refer to, I think, as a backlash to something that's going on, right? Quite frankly, is often a lot closer to simply the trickle down to the average person of an idea. So what a lot of, you know, whenever you see backlash to something in the press, it's usually a delay to when it gets to the majority of people. Most extreme ideas or things that seem extreme or are too new to really catch on or aren't easily explained when they have a backlash, it's usually because the first group who's early adopters, the people who stand in line for iPhones and the like, who are like, yeah, totally, I get this, I feel it, I see what you're saying, and I'm so into it, I can look past any of the negative parts of it, I can look past any of the downsides, I can even have blinders on because it seems to satisfy a goal that I'm looking for, where I may not see the other problems with it that the average person might lock onto because they're not barreling in on solving the issue that I think is the most important issue in the world, right? So the activist class will present an idea that's a solution to something. Wherever they are in the spectrum, doesn't matter. This happens a lot. And by the time their solution, which they go, that sounds great, let's do that, and they rush ahead with it. By the time it gets to the general public starts going, wait. You want to do what now? Well, what about this and this and this? That sounds ridiculous. Yeah, yes, in a utopian environment, perhaps that would work. But it obviously won't. So can we wait for a second? Wait. Let's think about this. Let's discuss this. And then that's when the activist class goes, but we don't have to discuss it. It's already there. So, and this isn't like left or right. This is how people who are, caught up in the activist class, think about things. And they often won't feel like people are attacking the idea or attacking the solution they presented, when in reality they're just not all in on it because they don't see past the flaws the way the people who presented it do, right? So when you see mask mandates and the like starting to come online, or the presentation of a vaccine, for example, everybody who knows this is the solution and is on board already and is going, I can't wait for there to be a vaccine so we can go back to life as normal. There's a big group of people on the other side who will be going, I would never take a vaccine, things are normal already. And that's what we're seeing as sort of a crisscross of in the backlash in very seldom states. So when you got a mass of people that are not the majority of the people in the United States, but are an abundant number who are finally sort of catching on to the common sense part, there's this crisscross of the, hurry up and get vaccinated, but I don't trust Donald Trump. And I trust anything Donald Trump does, but I'm never going to take the vaccine, even though I'm going to give him credit for making it. That crowd is a very strange group. And they're about 80-20 Republican to Democrat or independent or what have you, or Robert F. Kennedy, Marianne Williamson follower, depending on what you want to call the 20%. For real. And so what they'll do is, there's a lot of people who are, they're vaccine hesitant. They have questions about, they're not vaccine hesitant. There's a 20% that are vaccine hesitant of the people who are not getting vaccinated. 80% of the people who are not getting vaccinated are, at this point, not even anti-vax. They're anti-this vax. And there's a myriad of reasons why they are anti-this vax. All of them are lunacy, but they are anti this particular one. They are largely Trump supporters who, again, think he created it, want to give him credit for Operation Fart Steed.
Captain's log.
But they think he's everything that, the sun shines out of his backside. He can solve anything. Only he can solve it. They bought that in line. He's the smartest guy ever with the best people. He brings everybody together. He makes the best deals. And yet, got rid of the pandemic response team 2 years before we were hit by a big pandemic, which anybody could have seen coming as a regular order of business. At some point in the future, you would want those people just kind of on watch, even if you don't use them that often. And he got rid of them, and he got rid of the cops program, which was helping to weed out bad cops, which probably would have saved George Floyd's life, or at least taken Derek Chauvin out of the equation in that circumstance. And George Floyd would have gotten the medical help he needed earlier in that process without Derek Chauvin basically running interference on that process. And so even though they totally believe Trump is the greatest president ever, and even though they want to give him credit for coming up with the vaccine, and even though they think Operation Fart Steed was the greatest medical miracle, called it a medical miracle. They literally used the phrase medical miracle about the creation of the vaccines. They won't let that anywhere near their body for a cascading number of reasons. Number one being it's not FDA approved yet, even though the whole idea was emergency approval because, and millions of people have taken it. You've had 125,000 breakthrough infections in 164 million vaccinations. That's less than 0.08% breakthrough infections. And there's a lot of variety in there because some people got it within 2 weeks of getting their second dose, for example, before full immunity had happened. Some of them got in between. Some of them got it with Johnson & Johnson in that first 2 weeks after their first dose. Other people have other immunological difficulties in their bodies that have, contribute to the fact that they won't produce antibodies as well from the vaccine. So it's not the vaccine that didn't work, it's that this person is in a special subcategory where it might not be as effective in their system. And there's, again, hundreds upon hundreds of reasons why a breakthrough infection would happen. And none of them point to a major breakdown in any respect of the vaccines working against any variant, including the Delta variant, right? But where it is breaking through is in Republican areas where they are not getting vaccinated. Los Angeles has, in an area that has 10 million people in it, including the Valley, 4 million people who have not been vaccinated. And by the way, that's the voting makeup. LA is always going to go, Democrat largely when, as far as the races go. They are going to vote for the Democrat that's coming into office. However, it's not 80-20. It's not 60, it's closer to 60-40. And that 40% of that 10 million aren't vaccinated because that's all that's left of the Republican Party. Would you say, Johnny?
Lisa was going to work, so I was saying bye to
her.
her.
I see. I got you. I thought I heard, like your mouth moved and I didn't hear anything. I was like, oh no, the mic is gone.
Oh no, the audio's on again. Sorry about that.
Right. So right now, the biggest hotspots, and there are very dense areas in more ways than one that are being hit by the Delta variant, and which is the rising cases. By the way, the Alpha variant and the original, the wild variant, all three of those are still out there to get the unvaccinated. The Delta variant is really the only one showing up in these, breakthrough infections, largely because it's spreading faster than the other ones, and it's among people who are more slapdash and haphazard with their mask usage and the like. So, right now, obviously, you're going to see, and I'll put a map up so that people can see it in the chat room on here. This is the current share of Delta people vulnerable to infection with the Delta variant, and it has a lot to do with the vaccine numbers there. But you are not just seeing heavily red states affected by it. You're seeing high population areas in blue states that have a 60-40 Republican, Democrat to Republican balance, where you still have a significant number of Republicans or people who identify as Republicans or Trumplicans or maggots out there, and they're spreading it to their family and friends who don't think it's a big deal. So you got the people who don't think it's a big deal getting hit by the people who actually think it's a plandemic, who are, the biggest Trump supporters who go to these super spreader events, who, just went and saw, Lee Greenwood in Branson and brought it back with them and spread it through an area of people who are going, I'm young, I'm healthy, it's not a big deal. And they are killing Republicans.
Yup.
100% of the deaths right now, 99.99% of the people dying with COVID in their system from COVID are unvaccinated Trump supporters. Full on, just loud and proud about it. Because they're the most slapdash with their wearing of masks in the first place. They took little or no precautions anyways. The precautions that were taken were the ones taken around them by other people. They're living off the vaccination rolls of the other people around them, did not carry it to them. Well, the Delta variant doesn't care. Apparently, you're not going to get sick from it very much, if you do get it when you've been vaccinated. but you can carry a 1,000 times more viral load of it than the other variants. 1,000 times, which means you can infect people. And you're going to infect people who won't get vaccinated, and you also are going to infect people who can't be vaccinated. Namely, younger people who this is affecting greatly.
Yeah.
Like and under 12 years old, it's a really scary time for parents right now. My son is 10 years old, and it will be probably October before he can be vaccinated. And it's, my biggest fear is bringing it home to him and it having some, long haul effect on him. And the just total lack of regard for that on the Republican side right now for their own folks just points to the kind of Darwinist passive eugenics of the modern Republican Party. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Parks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Passive eugenics.
Yeah. That's what Carlin called it. It's basically the elimination of the poor by just letting them die. Yeah. Bringing up, I'm looking for a follow-up piece that I was just looking at. This is horrifying and infuriating. Get out of here. This is 3 days ago from the Dallas Morning News. The Delta COVID-19 variant is spreading fast. How worried should we be? The most important people can do to protect themselves against the new strain is get vaccinated, experts say. Obviously, Abbott not being an expert because he's just, I have to say, and it's a horrifying notion, but in a lot of these red states, there's a bunch of these folks that think this is the answer to their diversity problem.
Oh boy.
That again, they last year
coming back in
I
time.
remember it like it was. Thank you. I remember like it was yesterday. We're what is it, June, late May, early June. The report came out that black and brown people were affected more.
Attention. Stop what you're doing.
Because we're coming back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Oh my God!
They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean. I almost interrupted Lady B, and I would never do that.
Yeah.
It would just be wrong. So, this is from the Dallas News. The Delta COVID-19 variant is spreading fast. How worried should we be? The most important thing people can do to protect themselves against the new strain is to get vaccinated, experts say. The Delta variant of COVID-19 has quickly become the dominant strain of coronavirus in the United States. It's leading to sudden changes in health recommendations as well as big increases in case counts nationwide. The mutation, which is more contagious and may cause more severe illnesses, has prompted changes in mask recommendations and advice for vaccinated people at local and federal levels. Meanwhile, Greg Abbott is literally ordering areas not to allow mask mandates. He is, this is, and by the way, how is this not government elites not following common sense and telling the average person that they know better? You know, all the stuff that they clamor about DC and to no end. Republicans have made a career since Reagan of crapping on government, while, by the way, being in government. And it's always been an odd dichotomy that we like on the show to explain as government can't do anything right, elect me and I'll prove it, as the main way that Republicans run for office. And yet there's this idea that DC is this out of touch area, that it might as well be in Belgium, right underneath the UN, in the basement of the UN. It's full of globalist elites who want to, take power away from the states, and and yet, when it comes down to the, voting on, say, the infrastructure bill this week, which there was a wonderful change in terms of the Senate. We were bringing this up over the, the last couple months, that basically the number of Republicans who are for the infrastructure bill is over 65% of voters, of Republican voters. And yet only 17 out of 50 Republicans voted for it. And by the way, only to advance it as far as debate. That doesn't mean all 17 of them are going to vote for the final bill. But, it's a huge step forward. But still, you've got less than that 65%. So, and yet, with Democrats, it's, 85%. And the other 15%, the only reason they're against it is because they want it to be bigger. They're not against the bill. They just think it could go further. So every Democrat is voting to push the bill with the idea that this is a good baseline. And again, infrastructure bank, people, please understand what that means if that gets passed. So the Republicans seem to be, by their own description, the people who are out of sync with the voters and living this elite DC lifestyle where they can go up there, take a check from their constituents and the American people, and not do the work. They're not voting for the stuff that 65% of their voters want. And so, as that's played out, it's, it kind of eats away at that talking point. We've been watching a lot of talking points die over the last few months. And none harder, I suppose maybe lumber, but none harder than this one about masks and vaccinations. Because now, as the Delta variant is spreading and it is clearly taking lives unique to a particular group of people, it is at this point uniquely killing Trump supporters. It is, the people who are, and the people who are getting sick from it, ancillary sickness from it, who aren't vaccinated, also largely Trump supporters. Just by buying, or people they came into contact with, so people that they effectively are killing or physically damaging with their choices. That in and of itself is, shows a certain level of awareness that seems to be creeping back to reality on the Republican side of the aisle. Watching it play out, watching the people sort of panic getting the vaccine now. The difference is that if I have Pfizer, you got Moderna.
I got
right?
Moderna.
Yeah. If you're doing the two-dose version so far anyways, and again, this is, we are jumping onto a moving train here. We are running to catch up to something that is actively happening. So both the science and the experience of how to deal with it as far as our own social lives, like hand sanitizer and wearing masks and where we go and what we do and what's an acceptable risk and all that kind of stuff, is a constantly fluctuating thing over the last year, because reality is a constantly fluctuating thing. So as we watch this play out and we're dealing with the growth of this Delta variant, and a lot of us are like, all right, I don't really fear for my own life because I've been vaccinated. I know what the death rates are, but I'm not willing to kill Republican holdouts just for being stupid. I don't think being stupid or belligerent or just a straight up jagoff is a reason. It's not a capital offense. And it's certainly not a reason for me to give it to them with my lackadaisical behavior, because I'm not worried for my own safety. To give it to somebody who isn't worried about their own safety at all enough to be vaccinated, who will then pass it on, even if it doesn't kill or harm them in any major way, to someone who it may. Like, how many steps am I okay with in this process? 3 members of their family before one dies? 2? And so I have a theory, and I'll wait until after the break to tell it, about what the new mask mandates in cities like Los Angeles and where I am in Las Vegas right now are all about. What are they really about? I'll tell you my theory after we come back. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Tomorrow night at the Echo in Los Angeles, Nerd Halen with Gacy DC. It's going to be a great show. Yes, I did. Al, I did say it on the air. Pandemics usually run out of people. That's how they stop. Yeah, in their natural environment. That's why I was making the point on Twitter that if the Republicans think that they're somehow strong or special, and that's why they're why we've gotten a grip on this thing, and not the fact that we live in 2021 and things like mRNA vaccines are a possibility. Because if this shit had happened in 1821 or 1921, they had all been dead before they had a chance to name it. History would have named the thing that killed them.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right, Bob. Yeah, Linda, like the Delta, I mean, they're finding it in the sewage. That's how they know where it's spreading and by how much volume. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is... Mm-hmm. Hey, think what you will, though, that as bad as the COVID Delta variant is, Andrew Dice Clay is going to be in Austin for 2 shows in August. So it, swings and roundabouts. Every cloud. Let's see, where's he coming? Where's he performing? 2 nights at
back in
Vulcan
20.
Gas. Thanks.
Okay.
Vulcan Gas Company. Is that is that a bar? No, wait. I have no idea. That's fascinating. I like the name.
I know I'm only on one day a week. I get it. I'm gonna have to jump on GarageBand and start sawing something together. This is the Hal Sparks Show. Wow. And a guitar note, and then progressive, and all that. It's going to be good.
Hey, Hal, did you mean something like this?
This is the Hal Sparks Show. Wow. And a guitar note, and then progressive, and all that. Yeah, it's going to be good.
The Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Well, yeah, it is. Welcome back. So this is my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Here it comes.
Okay.
The reason why, there's a lot of reasons why Republicans might be changing their tune on this, and the primary reason a lot of people think, that they're changing their tune is because Republican voters are dying, right? That this is finally affecting them, and it's finally killing the ones with money. It was fine when it was killing the white trash in eastern Kentucky and some of the people they'd rather not have sleeping on their couch, and their sister's brother-in-law who was, a fentanyl addict anyways, and they were watching the death clock on this dude, so who really cares? You know what I mean? Like that, when it wiped out those people, they're like, oh, well, you know what I mean? Nature is Darwinism, right? That's the nature doing its thing. But when it starts killing people who might have donated to their campaign, and the people it leaves behind, their widows and children, are not particularly friendly to the fact that these idiotic policies took their mother, their father, their, patriarch or matriarch of the family, then, it might be a little hard in 2022. So we might want to start telling people to start getting vaccinated, right? Well, the mask mandate thing that you're seeing in Los Angeles and other areas, like I said, Las Vegas, New York, and to some degree, they are not full-on mandates in a lot of places. They get a little water, especially here in Vegas. It's a little watery, although it is officially on the mandate. Nobody's enforcing it. I think it's sort of the inversion of that, the panic the Republicans are having right now, which is, oh my God, Delta's killing the keepers, the Republican keepers. So we got to get people to get vaccinated. Tell them to get vaccinated. We're not going to do the mask thing because we're never going to talk them into that. But get vaccinated quick, right? Whereas the Democratic side of things would argue that, the only people that are going to get killed, or by this, if there's a breakthrough infection from this Delta thing, might be these other Democrats, these like who are walking around. So just say, guys, it's a good idea to put your mask back on. All those people are going to do it. All the Democrats in the area, all the vaccinated people, all the people who believe in vaccines, all the people who want to get vaccinated but can't yet because of age, or they have kids at home, and they're not, their family members, they're not going to die because you give them a warning and you go, it's a good idea to wear masks. The holdouts are like, well, we can't talk you into saving your own life.
Yeah.
And most of the areas where you're seeing these, helmet, mask mandates, they also have helmet mandates for motorcyclists. And why do they have those? Do they have it because they care if you live or die? Really? I mean, they still let people drive 65 miles an hour on the freeway, even though they know 55 would save more lives. But, you balance that against life. And the same thing with motorcyclists. Do they really care if you bounce your cranium off the cement? Not really. The state and the insurance companies just don't want to pay to keep the rest of your body alive for a few years because you were stupid. They don't want to, keep, have a body on a ventilator that's basically, for all practical purposes, brain dead for years because you don't want to wear a helmet. So you can wear a helmet, so if you do have a crash and you kill yourself, it's probably because you broke your neck, not because you smashed your head, and so you're going to just die. You just go ahead and die. You're not, from the accident. Instead of, the rest of your body's kind of fine, but that little, one of the big helmet advocates, anti-helmet advocates, was at Sturgis in this area, kind of doing this anti-helmet thing. His bike tipped over. He wasn't even riding. They were sitting still. He fell over and hit his head on the curb and had to be kept alive artificially for like a month before they unplugged him. And so the cities will have, the cities where you see, helmet laws, you're going to see mask mandates for as long as they are necessary. Because, you're taking up a bed. Believe me, if COVID just kind of knocked you out of the, like the second you got it, you just dropped dead and they could just isolate parts of town, like outbreak, the approach would be completely different.
Mm-hmm.
It just would. They just go, well, I guess we got to park some trucks and not let anybody leave the area like the Walking Dead, right? But because you can carry it around, masks. And that mask is there to protect your family and friends, because the people who you're running into with the Delta variant don't care about you or your family. And if they do care about you or your family, but they were under the mistaken idea that while they're protected from it because they've been vaccinated, they can't carry it, which we now know they can. They might give it to you and you might carry it home. And again, you might be totally fine. But you might kill your kid, or you might kill a neighbor, or you might kill your friend, or you might take it to church. And we have been going through this thing for a year. Nobody wants to keep wearing masks forever.
No.
Everybody's over it, kids. We're all over it. But we need it to end so it can be over. We don't need to pretend it's over. The Republicans currently are kind of like that. That dude who ran the marathon? I'm sure you know about this guy, Johnny. Who, I don't know if he was trying to break a world record or he just wanted to finish. But about
it's a rough picture.
20 feet from the line, he started to evacuate his bowels.
Yeah.
Remember that fella? Right.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
That's when your body thinks the race is over, but you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that really is where these guys, that's the Republican Party in my mind right now, is that guy, crap falling out of his shorts as he tries to cross the finish line, pretending he's a winner in that regard. When he could have just solved that problem earlier.
Yeah.
He could have taken precautions and solved that problem earlier. It's just part of life. It's going to eat some of your time out, but at least you won't go down in history forever as that piece of video guy.
Yeah.
And in the case of the Republicans in Texas and Idaho and South Dakota and Florida, which is particularly bad, this desperate desire to show people how tough they are by not wearing masks. I was vegan for about 3 years. I still do meatless Mondays. I am still, I mitigate the amount of meat I consume and that kind of stuff. And I'm aware of it and healthy about it, my choices. But I remember, when I was vegan, I didn't even proselytize about it. If I brought it up, my buddy Brian would immediately go into, nothing makes me want to have a steak more right now than you just talking about that. I'm just going to have a big old steak when I did. Those folks that if you bring up, you might want to have a salad. Like, yeah, salad made of steak. And that's their emotional response to it. That's where we are with the Republican Party and masks and vaccines right now. They are mentally 14. And their response to all of this is, you're not my real dad. You can't tell me what to do. Right? Which is, I don't know why they got stunted in like an 80s teen heartbreak comedy, but they did. And it would be embarrassing if it wasn't so desperately sad. Yeah, it wasn't so deadly. Wasn't taking lives. And this is their response to, I mean, this is the root of their, the Reagan-esque fear of government. It's this odd daddy issue thing that they have. And maybe it's the concept of, the difference between a strict household and a hyper-strict household, a highly religious household versus a religious household, that they grow, the outliers of those groups which drive the pack are the people that have these kind of responses to authority. And, never mind the years of entertainment programming that we have had since, I would say, 1986, but, obviously off and on throughout. But, 86, 87, where any problem that's going on, any governmental intrigue movie, it's always somebody inside. It's not a threat they're dealing with. It's not Hunt for Red October. It's, absolute power. It's clear and present danger. The president himself is directing death squads and all that kind of stuff. Everything is inside. Every spy movie has a mole. Everything, there are, yes, Hydra being S.H.I.E.L.D. There's everything in these things that ultimately the biggest problem we have is that we can't trust our own government. That is, which, by the way, is patently ridiculous. Because you do every day. No. You're in buildings that building codes were enforced in. You drive on roads that have traffic signals that are driven by coordinating, systems that were bought and paid for by your local and federal governments and through grants and all this other stuff. There are constant threats that are being picked up and put down by the FBI and the CIA, both here and overseas, that would result in your death, and you don't even know about them, and you don't even care to know about them. There are 18,000 police departments in the United States. People have there are over 1 billion police interactions a year between citizenry and cops. 1 billion. Traffic tickets to full-on no-knock warrants to arrests 1 billion times a year. And yet, it isn't that people don't trust their government or don't whatever. They live under the illusion that they don't trust their government. You operate all the time within rules, guidelines, and protections that you voted on that were carried out by your representative government over decades. Of course you trust your government. So much so that it's news when someone untrustworthy is busted.
Yep.
If it was that, if we lived in a Russian-style oligarchy or a CCP control over the government, like everybody pretends, on the right especially, which is amazing right now. You listen to Newsmax or OAN, they're Radio Free Europe talking, from within a pirate underground radio station during Nazi Germany. It's absurd. It's absurd. Can we get to fixing the problem? I mean, that's why people were shocked this week when the infrastructure bill moved forward.
Yep.
We shouldn't be, but we are. And it was a crisscross between paranoid narrative on the outside, where we all just kind of expect that nothing works right. By the way, lots of bills have passed this year and things have been signed. And were last year that had nothing to do with the Trump, agenda or whatever that got passed and signed. And it didn't matter. It's normal stuff, perfunctory stuff. Happens all the time. You trust that part. It's the parts that you know about that you don't trust, and then even then you find out 6 months later, oh, that actually worked out. It happens all the time. And it creates this idea, and with the news being if it bleeds, it leads, that's the only news you're hearing about is when things are burning down, right?
Yep.
In a lot of ways. And I try, by being slightly comedic about all this kind of stuff, I'm trying to take a little bit of that edge off so you can see stuff clearly and not from this, sort of panic zone of things. But right now, you can get a really good look at what that fomented anti-government stance that's been implanted in people's minds for decades. Never trust the government. You can't trust the government. The government's left. I mean, MK Ultra, HARP, Tuskegee Airmen, J. Edgar Hoover spying on MLK. Like all that stuff stacked up into. I think I saw a thing where The Recruit, Al Pacino was the guy who picked people who went to the CIA and then went rogue. How many action movies? It's a rogue CIA agent that's actually behind it all. So you mix those two together. Jade Helm, thank you, Bob, in the chat room. UN Agenda 21, right? Everything is so that stack all those together, and then you look at the Republican Party and you understand that's what that looks like. That's what that petri dish looks like. And those folks are trapped in their own paranoid delusion. And they are screaming at family members right now about not getting vaccinated because it's going to make you infertile, magnetic, and traceable. That the mask mandates that are happening in cities across the country are just so that the people who would normally wear masks don't catch the Delta variant and have a breakthrough, or bring it home to their family members who are too young or immunocompromised and can't get the vaccine. That's it. Right. That's why. It's not about saving the Republicans from themselves. It's not about saving the anti-vaxxers from themselves. It is absolutely a balanced, look, you can't save everybody approach, because these people are belligerently, their heels are dug in, and they desperately need to believe that Nazis run our government, that we are run by a Jewish form of Hydra run by George Soros. That's what honestly, that if you watch Newsmax and OAN and Right Side Broadcasting and Real America Voices and all that stuff, that's what you take away. That's what the deep state is. The deep state is their version of, it's more like if S.H.I.E.L.D. infiltrated Hydra, unfortunately. But you see what I mean? Because technically speaking, most of these people are like, I don't know, Hydra's got kind of a point. If you watch the Star Wars movies, it's really the Empire that's trying to help,
all those rebels, yeah,
exactly. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Yeah. Yeah, it's Spectre, right? There is no deep state, it's a created enemy. Exactly. What they mean is bureaucrats. It used to say bureaucrats. These bureaucratic guys who it's still the law, so you got to write we get elected, we come in there, we want to change stuff up. Well, if you want to change stuff up, you got to pass a law. You got to pass a law to do it. We're still going to enforce the law as it stands until you either sign an executive order that stands up to scrutiny of this, and constitutional tests, or pass a law, or both. The bureaucrats just these guys want to follow the law that was passed. Don't they know we just won an election based on bumper stickers? That's what that is. And the activist, again, that's the activist class getting to the the trickle down into the folks that are going to tap the brakes. Yeah. There is no deep state, and they have to have the deep state exist. What they mean is bureaucrats. What they mean is people who are just going to do their job even if they're being bullied by whoever the new sheriff is.
Yep.
That's the deep state. Why won't they dismantle our entire military apparatus under the guidance of Donald Trump's desire to gut NATO immediately upon entering office, so that Putin can move his troops from Crimea into the rest of Ukraine? Oh, the deep state is stopping us. Right? It's so aggravating. And to listen to the paranoid delusion of never trust the government, and listen to them say that about everything.
We're coming back right now.
Thank you. While being government officials themselves.
I am happy, you are happy. Let us be happy together, whether the weather is cloudy
cloudy or sunny, I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky, let us get lucky together. Whether the weather is cloudy or breezy, I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. 'Cause isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you, chugga chugga choo choo, woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling, let us smile together. Whether the weather is cloudy or stormy, I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Yay! Back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. It's now time for the happy ending. Yay!
Yay!
So, by the way, SC Paul on Twitter responded, L'chaim Hydra, which, I mean, come on.
Wow.
That's the Soros deep state version of the dangerous super Jew puppet master that they always want to. And we always, when we're doing on my regular live stream, when we're talking about, Rudy Giuliani, it's always like a countdown to how fast he can name drop George Soros into something. Like you can
right.
tell if his, if he's had enough caffeine, that day. Or his second gen Adderall scrapings that he gets off, that he carpet farms at Trump's house. I'm kidding. Trump doesn't have a house. He lives in the attic of his golf club. This is, I think the happy ending is, it has to be. There's a few of them, quite frankly. The best one I think is the taxes. Normally we try to do,
huge.
Yeah, we try to be like just happy, just at no one's expense. But oh my gosh, this is a beautiful thing. Followed by the DOJ release of the notes that Donald Trump's call to the DOJ, threatening to take out the leadership of the DOJ and replace them with sycophants, because they weren't going to do what he was wanting them to do, and threatening it on the call, saying there's some people I think should be in charge over there. I think this is where you'd be a good person to run things. That's kind of beautiful. The idea that you what? Sorry.
And leave the rest to me.
Yes, and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman, because we will see over the next week if Jim Jordan gets called before the January 6th committee to discuss the phone call he had on the day, or if he tries to not show up for the subpoena as a member of Congress.
Yeah, he's not handling this very well.
No. It's, what do you do when your only tool is to ignore something awful when it's happening? Mm-hmm. The other, I guess, the genuine happy ending has to be the infrastructure bill moving forward.
Definitely.
Because when you've got 17 votes crisscrossing, that in and of itself is a bizarre return to normalcy. That I think, like I said, Johnny's was absolutely right earlier on in the show when he was saying, if you weren't listening earlier, you missed out. That and it hadn't even occurred to me really at that point. Look at that! Finally, once it's like a broken clock, but with only one hand. It can only be right once every 12 hours.
Ever. Yeah.
And even then, still, right? Oh, 18 votes because one guy didn't vote. Right. Well, that's also, you take that as a vote. If you leave and don't vote against it on the Republican side, that adds one technically, I suppose. But that fact that, aligned with what Johnny was saying earlier, that not only did Trump's pick not work out this week, but it might have been the fact that he picked this person that ruined their chances, that they probably might have been a shoo-in to be on a state senator in Texas, but Trump was like, okay, they're a shoo-in, cool. I'm going to give them my total endorsement. They're going to go up like a rocket ship. And they did. Unfortunately, the rocket ship they went up like was that dude who believes we live under a dome and that space is fake. Remember this flat earther dude who killed himself in the rocket?
Yeah.
Yeah. It went up like that kind of a rocket ship and crashed. So there is you
got to hand it to the dude. He walked the
He
walk.
committed. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like back page Bezos over here with his classified ad rocket ship.
Back page Bezos.
Yes, right. You, a chunk of dirt that is impassable by is immovable compared to my object. Me, a guy in a rocket ship with not nearly enough fuel to stay aloft. If you'd like to meet up, send me wear a red carnation and show up at my favorite restaurant. But of all these things, and we will watch over the next week as the January 6th commission continues, and whether or not they end up interviewing these folks, or if Trump himself gets a subpoena and has to fight it. Oh, my Lord. Oh, it's just going to be, if there's some must-see television in August, kids, that's going to be it. This is, August is usually a boring news month a lot of times. They try to do that because that's when recess is. But nope. It's going to be an adventure. So, anyways, we're near the end of the show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It's the House Parks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. We're on every Saturday here on WCPT Radio, and of course live streaming at infotainmentwars.com. You can be a supporter by helping out at patreon.com/HalSparks, or you can when you tune in to my regular live stream or to this one. I stream daily from 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time at infotainmentwars.com or at fwank.com, FWANQ, where free speech reigns, RAIN, purple reigns. And if not, we'll just see you here every Saturday with me and Johnny. Now that Johnny has turned a corner and been, like, his political astuteness has pegged the meter, I expect great things. We'll have next week the Johnny Report. We'll be back
Expectations
next week at our regular time. Yes.
Expectations are a bitch.
Very exciting. Cheers. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
All
right, great show, guys. See you next week.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Chicago. Cheers. Bye.
Do you mind if we call you Chicago?
Mind if I call you Chicago? You better not mind, because that's how it goes. God, there's just so much Lindell in so little time.
Oh God, that guy.
He's got that that his cyber symposium happens right after Summer's birthday, and Summer and I are gonna take a day off for her birthday and just go. She loves going to the beach, so we're gonna go to the beach for a couple of days. So the 11th, 12th, and into the 13th, more than likely no show, kids, or a truncated one of August because it's Summer's birthday. But then as soon as it's done, I basically get to come back home and live stream as much of that ridiculous cyber symposium as I can possibly stand, and just eat and watch that garbage. Ugh, it's gonna be so gloriously awful.
This is what happens when you have enough money to do whatever you want. This is what he's choosing to do.
Yeah, I mean, imagine what you would do with that same amount of money. And just think about the problems you could solve.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm serious. For the money he's spent on on just the Arizona election, not the rest of the states, not his own stuff, not anything, just the Arizona stuff, the money he spent there. Just that money, he could afford to buy 4 3D printers that print houses and train 30 workers to print houses in rows of low-cost housing, like 1-bedroom little buildings with geothermal heat and cold and solar panels on top, and internet connectivity. And for hundreds, if not later thousands of homeless people. for the same amount of money.
But
And
nope,
it would be
he needs
semi-permanent
to hear
sites
his own voice
and just
repeated back to him.
yeah. Stephen, Stephen was like they should issue subpoenas for Trump, Lindell, Giuliani, Flynn brothers, Stephen Banana. I agree. Although Steve Bannon, he's got his own issues, so he's gonna like bringing up him in front of a panel won't be necessary. They can just play footage of him saying the conspiratorial stuff in the beginning. He can want to rebut it. But they don't need him to show up. There's plenty of footage. Just play the footage of him bragging about it. Same with Alex Jones. You don't have to bring Alex Jones and have him testify. He would just grandstand and make noise and think he was important. So just play footage of him going, the president said at a certain time, 30 minutes before the thing, we'd all go down there and we'd walk down there and we started marching towards the Capitol about a half hour before the speech was over. And we'd arranged that before. I have to sing tomorrow. I can't do Alex Jones today.
Yeah.
And I got to do a shorter show today because I got a vocal rest for a day. Because that's gonna be it. We're doing some Van Hagar songs too. So.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, which is fine on its own. I feel like we could do Nerd Hagar and Nerd Halen almost separately in their own way, you know. But doing both of those voices in the same show.
Yeah, which Hagar one are you doing, or ones?
We're doing Best of Both Worlds and Pound Cake.
Huh. Oh wow, Best of Both Worlds is high.
Yeah. Best of Both Worlds. Right. And that's
I don't remember the Pound Cake melody. I remember it was one of the only things I liked off of Oh You Wait One too.
Yeah, the Pound Cake. I mean, it's more of it's chattier.
Yeah,
you know,
that'll help.
But once the she's down home and round home, yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Cooking up that old time long lost recipe for me. That like at the end of it, it'll dry you out. That's why he begs off on it live. Some of those songs you're like, I'm singing great in the studio. Let's just nail it. That's a great note, and then you can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, live because it's just not.
His live bootlegs, the Van Halen bootlegs with Sammy Hagar are really rough. He can barely sing what he's saying.
Yeah, and it's partly because
he just set the bar too high.
And he's singing the old songs too with them, which are in a different key and is not his thing.
Yeah.
And Paul Stanley started losing his voice because of the reunion tour. Because they went back, he got to be a great singer. Like by the time he gets to Crazy Nights, the notes that dude is hitting.
Yeah, he's killing it.
Just,
I kind of thought that Phantom is what blew his voice.
What do you mean?
His run of Phantom of the Opera, I feel like that was like right around the time when it started to change.
Yeah, well, less. I mean, arguably, he was still working. He was doing a show every night like that. That's not your stuff. Can be a little whatever. Yeah. But it was absolutely the first three records and the tuning on the first three records, because you down tune the high stuff because you're tired, and then that takes that stuff that wasn't down tuned even further down.
Yeah.
And then your voice drops into the front of your vocal, and then they're flapping like crazy and damaging themselves, and then you get tears. What about Vince Neil? Oh God, yeah. You can't. Here's the thing: you can't go home again. Ask Klaus Meine. Look at what's his name from Deep Purple. Just stay in the pocket.
Yeah.
If you stay in the pocket, you're okay. If you keep singing high like that, it's why like Sebastian Bach always talks like this. Like he's always keeping his voice tuned up, dude. Like he's a giant human who talks like this. And it's because he's always keeping his vocal cords tight to protect them.
Glenn Hughes can still really do it.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. It's not a matter of age. It's not it's just what you do to your voice after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And you can heal it. You can. And especially now because people get on prednisone and take 6 months off, and you can heal your voice. And unless you're Julie Andrews and they wreck your throat with surgery,
Yeah.
Which is just super fucking sad. You know, what you can still do it. You know, even I'm like I thought at some point I would be over the point where I could sing higher notes, and then I'm like, oh no, I just found it again. I just lost it for a little while because I talk for a living. So that's why singers get polyps. That's right, Ziggy. So, anyways, I just thought you had some Dio in you. Aw, that's sweet. I do actually. When I sing some high notes, they have that. You know, there's some people where your vocal cords have a similar shape, and you can do their voice. You know, and you're like, or when you hit a note, you're like, wow, I kind of sound like them. It's not who I would go for. It's not necessarily who I'm trying to sound like, but it's how I do sound. You know, like
hey, I found a bootleg of the Bruce Kulick band from the Kiss Cruise like 9 or something.
Oh,
and
with Todd?
It's he's doing like all the Pulse stuff, and the guy doing the Gene stuff is frigging amazing.
Yeah, spooky.
Because he can do like the old school Gene, but he can do like Asylum and Animalized Gene. Like, just it's so crazy to hear. Like, and the songs they play are just so hilarious. Like Trial by Fire and everything. And like, I'm gonna live my life. Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the songs you'd never get to hear.
Yep. Yeah,
That's
Bruce
just
Kulick
awesome.
knew how to do it on that tour.
Like that song, that note in "Fits Like a Glove."
Yeah, that he's never tried live.
No, never. Just Even
like
on
the Lick It Up tour.
On.
I saw the Lick It Up tour, and he begged out then. I was like, dude, come on, that's the neatest part of the song.
I was inspired by that note, and I put it in a song on my debut record.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You do some screaming on that record.
On my Pretty Poison, and that's what that note is based on. That's what I was inspired. That's what inspired me to do that song. And there's a couple of like winks and nods at the girl that the song is about, and using that note from "Fits Like a Glove" was part of the inside joke. Never mind. Anyways, point being, and I'll tell you the joke later. But anyways, that having that in there, I was like, if I put it in, I got to do it. And live, every single time, I swing for the fences. Yeah.
Good.
How would you sing a song with a high note early or late in a set? In some ways, I don't have a choice in Nerd Halen, because of the nature of swapping guitars and stuff, and that it's really a guitar-centered performance.
Yeah.
If I had my choice, you'd sing high first, and then let yourself off the hook as the show goes on. I mean, that would be the easy way of doing it. Or, if you're warmed up, you could do it pocket. You could start without one because you're warmed up and you're not tired. Sing throughout the thing, and then it's like you get your vocal second wind, and then the notes come back near the end, that kind of thing, which a lot of singers do. They'll open with their big hit and close with their big hit because that's where the big notes are. And in the middle, they're kind of giving themselves a bit of a break. That's it. Yeah. Wow. Yikes, can't stop lying. That's just sad. Okay. All right. Is Flappers 8 on Monday night? No, there's going to be the August Flappers show is going to be like the 23rd and the 25th because they couldn't do it because of filling people up. So, all right, Johnny's got to go. You don't need to.
I'm going all penguin on you.
You penguin freak. All right. Peace out, my brother. I will see you later. That's good. This is a good look. Okay. Everybody say bye and happy belated birthday to Johnny Million, everybody.
Love you. Thank you, Hal fans.
And absolutely, we love you, and we will see you next week. And yes,
yeah, you will.
Black Holes. Yes, I insist. Okay, bye. Bye. See you later. All right, I'll switch over to this one. There you go. All right. Yay. Boom. Yay. All right. So we kind of there. I'm going to go and rest my throat. So, because I got to sing a lot tomorrow. Otherwise, I would stick around and chat with you guys after the show and have a post show for a while. We do less and less Saturday post shows in a lot of ways, simply because I'm on practically every day. And I will be on Monday as per usual. And like I said, tomorrow night, the Echo show. I will be trying to do some version of streaming it. If I can't stream it, we will be recording it. In multiple forms. So I'll try and scissor it together to show you, the patrons and the members and the subscribers and the like. So I will see you guys later. I'm going to go rest my throat. Talk to you later. Have a great day. Appreciate you guys joining me. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. Or if you're a troll, give a thumbs down and write an awful comment because ultimately it just adds to the algorithm. It boosts the show no matter what. And it boosts it in areas of the internet that we may not necessarily get put in because of how the algorithm works. So really appreciate that. Now, obviously, if there's any hate language or any of that kind of stuff, I will, I'll block it and erase it and report you. But anything short of that, if you can watch your mouth and just be a rude jerk, that's fine too. I mean, nobody cares. Nobody takes it personally. Am I breaking it to you that your life is meaningless? Am I the only person? Okay. Anyways, but to everybody else who is lovingly here and enjoying themselves and is with us every Saturday, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it more than you know. And I am inspired by all the support every time we see it. It's beautiful and it's heartwarming. And now I'm going to stop talking. Okay, bye. I have to stop talking. I have to, yeah, it's necessary. Kelly Bon Vivant for your super chat. Just saw that. Thank you.